Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to start having a look at a little introduction to Maya. So if you've watched any other previous videos, obviously I come from more of a design engineering CAD background using Fusion 360 and SolidWorks and those sorts of things. So Maya, slightly different, made by the same people. I did talk about the differences in a previous video when I did Maya versus Fusion, but I just want to give you a little rundown of the basics of once you open up. So this is my screen as soon as I open up. Yours may look slightly different. If you go to the top right up here, you've got workspaces and you can choose different kinds. So I'm on modeling standard, which is the main one that I always use. So bearing in mind I typically use Maya to create digital models. You can do animations and those sorts of things, but I don't really play around with those very much. But if you go to say Maya Classic, you'll have like your play bar down here, so that'll let you help like run simulations and those sorts of things. You can have a play around and see the sort of things that come up, but I always like using the Maya standard one. On the right hand side, you have got things like your modeling toolkit, attribute editor, and channel box. Now at the minute, those are empty because I haven't got anything in my scene. Obviously, modeling toolkit has got some of my key tools there, which we'll cover in a future video. But things like channel box are completely empty and attribute editor are completely empty because at the minute I've got nothing in my scene. Then on the left hand side I've got my outliner. So if you go to Windows and you can get your outliner up by clicking on outliner there, all that will do, much like with Fusion 360, is down the tree on the left hand side. It will pretty much come every time I get a body. So if I do a square, you'll see cube appears there. And then if you want to, you can double click and you can name it. So once you're in there, for the main thing, you've got curves and surfaces, polymodeling, and those are the two main ones I really use. There is sculpting. I've never really played around very much with sculpting. From what I understand, Maya sculpting is not the best. Most people use Blender or ZBrush for sculpting. And then rigging is if you can do any animation, like rigging and animation goes together. Rendering will do like add in lights and those sorts of things. And you can sort of play around and add your own ones. So I've got things like Mesh in there, which my own one will let me sort of like randomly scatter things around and that sort of thing. But the main one I really use is polymodeling. So it will let you create some standard shapes. So you've got your sphere, you've got cube, cylinder, cone, torus, plane, and disk. Now those aren't the only ones you've got. What you can do as well is go to create and you can get polygon primitives, so you've got even more. The other way you can do it is if you hold down the mouse, the spacebar, you'll get your hotbox menu. So this then, most commonly what's useful, if you click on the middle there, it'll let you change your view. So I can go to like my left view, right view, perspective, that sort of thing. If I press it once, it'll go into my orthographic view. But it will also let, if I hold it down, I can go to create and I can do the same thing and it will let me create all my different primitives that way. So there's 2 or 3 different ways to go about doing most things in Maya. It's a good idea to sort of learn your shortcuts because they are very, very useful. The other thing, just to go over the basics of it, is say I've got an object in my space. On the left, on the very, very left hand side, you've got your transform tool. So I have got the move tool, which will let me move things up, down, left, right, and so on. So that is, if I get rid of it, W. So that will now let me move things around that way. To zoom in, so I just press F to zoom in there. And then if you press Q, it will cancel whatever you've got going on. Then you've got your rotate tool. So if I click on that, that will let me rotate around. If I hold J, it will then let me snap into position at little increments. And then if I press Q to cancel it, and then so the shortcut for that is E, and that will let me rotate in any way that I want. I'm undoing here by pressing Ctrl Z, by the way. And then the last one is the scale tool. So if I click on that, if I drag, it will let me make it bigger and smaller universally, or I can do it in a particular plane like that. So the shortcut for that is R. So that's just a quick little introduction to sort of like the workspace of Maya. So you've got your outliner, which is always useful to have. It won't be there automatically, but it's useful to have. Your transform tools, your modeling toolkit, and then which workspace you are in. In future videos, I'll start to have a look at the basics of what sort of things are there for you to have a look at. So hopefully you found that useful. Any questions, please email me at designwithsimon@outlook.com.